In military parlance, a chest full of ribbons is called fruit salad, but each little piece of color means something significant. So this hour, as we highlight some of the heroes in Iraq, we'd like to take a little time and explain some of the top decorations for Valor. One of the greatest honors in the military, its third highest award for Valor, is the Silver Star Medal. It was originally approved by the Secretary of War in 1932 as a replacement for the Citation Star, which had in turn been created in 1918. But the Citation Star wasn't forgotten and can be seen to this day incorporated into the center of the Silver Star. Physically, it's not silver, but rather gold. Among the courageous people who have received it, Oliver North and Senators John McCain and Jim Webb. Iraq has added more names to this distinguished list. 8 months after the fall of Baghdad, the hunt for Saddam Hussein and his henchmen was serious and deadly business. December 3rd, 2003, Tommy Riemann of Independence, Kentucky was a 22-year-old sergeant in the Army's 51st Infantry Long-Range Surveillance Company. That night, Riemann helped lead an 8-man team sent to spy on a meeting of Saddam loyalists near Abu Ghraib prison. The team never got there. Their 3 Humvee convoy encountered a sophisticated ambush from the side of the road.
The initial blast, I just remember it being so loud and overwhelming and bone-jarring.
The air was filled with shrapnel and bullets, as you can see in these photos of Riemann's Humvee.
We were hit with 3 RPGs and 3 IDs, all simultaneously, in a hail of small gunfire.
Riemann realized that the .50 caliber gun on top of his Humvee was the only weapon available that could stop the attackers. He had to protect the gunner at all costs. So he maneuvered in the Humvee and draped himself over his gunner's legs.
I used my body as a shield to protect my gunner.
He began returning fire and saved his gunner's life by taking bullets with his own body in a battle that lasted less than a minute. By the end of it, Riemann and 2 others were left bleeding badly. Now, where did you get hit?
I was shot in the arm, right here in the chest, the rib area, and then I took multiple shrapnel wounds to my calves, back of the legs, a couple pieces up here in my side, and a small piece to the ear.
Were you mobile still?
Oh, absolutely. At first, I had no idea I was hit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be hard for people to believe that you're shot twice and you've got more than a dozen shrapnel wounds and you don't really know.
Your adrenaline's just pumping in and your training kicks in and you're not worried about you at the time. You're worried about the other 7 guys that are fighting with you.
He wouldn't even let his men patch him up. The team sped away, but Riemann's heroic ordeal was far from over. As the troops stopped to assess the damage, they were ambushed again, this time by another group of terrorists hidden in a grove of palm trees across the road.
And at that point, I said, all right, that's it.
Riemann had had enough. He walked right toward the terrorists, firing a grenade launcher until they were silenced.
I just stepped out there. I didn't care about anything. I just wanted to get rid of those guys.
No one knows exactly how many terrorists were killed that night, but all of Riemann's men got home. For his extraordinary bravery, Sergeant Tommy Riemann was awarded the Silver Star, and there was more.
Tommy Riemann was a teenager pumping gas in Independence, Kentucky when he enlisted in the United States Army.
President Bush spoke of Riemann's courage on the battlefield in his State of the Union in January 2007.
He has earned the respect and the gratitude of our entire country.
But when you actually become part of the speech, then what are you thinking?
Tommy Riemann is pumping gas in Independence, Kentucky. You hear that and it's just like, I don't know, it sends chills down your back. And holy cow, it's the president's talking about me, this is cool. Out of all people in the United States Army or any force, they chose me. And what a privilege.
After the fall of Saddam's regime, one of the greatest threats in Iraq was the militia of radical cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, who is now believed to be hiding in Iran. One man who risked his life to stop al-Sadr's thugs, Sergeant Roger Watts. May 12, 2004, The U.S. Army's 1st Armored Division were engaged in a huge firefight in Karbala, Iraq. They were supported by these men of the 3rd Special Forces Group, led by Sergeant Roger Watts. What's the mission that day?
To dislodge and disrupt the Mahdi militia.
Led by radical Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr, the militia had taken over the city and stashed these mountains of weapons in mosques, funeral homes, even schools.
We're going to take those positions by force.
The night began with a bang. Fox News night vision cameras were there as a Bradley vehicle fired upon an enemy compound, unaware that's where a huge weapons cache was being stashed.
Some of these actual artillery shells ended up going off and almost wounding some of the soldiers that were in and around the area.
But as the fire raged on, the men faced a more pressing threat: take out the militia fighters staging attacks from this mosque. In the chaos, a nearby M1 tank took a direct hit from an enemy RPG, severely wounding 2 soldiers on the turret. And militia fighters quickly began closing in on the crippled vehicle. That's when Watts moved into action.
Run. Run. That's all I could think of. Go.
Maneuvering his 6'5", 240-pound frame, he ran into a hail of bullets. You're under extreme fire, going to save the lives of your fellow soldiers.
I was the little duck at the carnival that everybody was trying to shoot at.
He fired at al-Sadr's men, keeping them at bay, and then jumped on the tank. With little regard for personal safety, Watts, a trained medic, gave life-saving medical aid and directed the tank out of harm's way.
You know, like I said, this is just a small thing.
The U.S. Army didn't think so, and Roger Watts was awarded the Silver Star.
You don't go out there and do anything for awards like this. You go out there and do things because it's the right thing to do, and you know that you'll have the support of the people behind you or beside you, to the right and left of you.
Today, Watts makes sure that advanced skills soldiers get that support. He uses his invaluable personal experience to train them for combat.
If you've done all the training appropriately, it'll work out well when it actually comes down to doing your job.
Up next on